Please take a moment to listen to this disclosure from the Common Ground podcast. The Common Ground podcast is dedicated to exploring commonality among individuals with diverse perspectives. Our guests may present unique worldviews related to health, psychology, and overall well-being. Please note that the Common Ground podcast does not directly promote or endorse any specific ideas, concepts, or actions discussed during our episodes. Listeners are encouraged to approach the information shared with discernment and to consult with their mental and/or physical health providers before making any changes to their health or wellness practices. The views expressed by guests and hosts are their own and do not directly reflect the opinions of the Common Ground podcast. Your well-being is important, and we advocate for informed decision-making. Thanks for listening.
That I was acting out more. Sexually, I acted out a lot more, and that's what the abuser was saying as well, to kind of not get me to tell. Kind of just like, oh, well, no one is going to believe you. You're at the age now that, oh, you like boys, and you're going to navigate to that, so no one is going to believe you. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I just will keep doing this, acting out and doing things that I know I shouldn't have been doing. So I believe that was my cries for help. And just, I had no one to actually talk to.
That is that we invite a lot of trauma onto ourselves sexually. And I'm not saying that, like, the abuse, I'm not trying to relate it to this abuse that you went through, but when we're not knowing our worth, when we're just offering our bodies to anybody, we're not knowing it, but we're actually creating sexual trauma.
I appreciate that perspective, though. I think that women have a fear of reporting abuse sometimes, especially for different reasons. And then I know that there's an argument to the other side of that coin too, where men, it's like, it was either, we'll argue that it was consensual or whatever have you, and depending on the duration of time that has passed, it sometimes makes that line feel gray. I know in my instance, there were 2 different people that sexually assaulted me.
Welcome to the Common Ground podcast, where stories connect, perspectives collide, and purpose is found in the middle.
Every week, we sit down with unique and inspiring guests that come from all walks of life. People who challenge the status quo, overcome the odds, and live with intentionality.
Whether you're driving to work, on your morning walk, or just looking for that spark to ignite your week, you're in the right place.
Welcome to the Common Ground podcast with your hosts, John Fletcher and Sydney Curtin.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Common Ground podcast. Yes, that's right. It is your boy, Billy, also known as John, and I am here with another absolute edition. I think it's going to be fire, and as always, I have the beautiful, the lovely, the don't start something you can't finish with with her Miss Sydney Curtin with us.
Hey, Billy, how's it going?
Another beautiful day. We had this huge snowstorm, and all our secondary streets are still like impossible to drive on. So it's fun. But in this snow time, I decided to create a band, and we're called 999 megabytes. We just haven't gotten a gig yet.
All right.
And
Go ahead.
And before I got a second one, and this one is from one of our viewers, Sarah from Colorado, sends this dad joke in, and it is, when is a door not a door? When it's a jar.
Yes, that's fair. Way to go, Sarah. Shout out to Sarah. For those of you that know it.
Yeah.
For those of you that
If
know
you would
it.
like your dad joke, told on the Common Ground podcast, there is a link on our website to submit dad jokes, and we will give you the credit.
And she really does do that to us. She's got a couple good dad jokes up her sleeve, and I guess that's what being a single mom does to you, is it gives you the dad jokes that you can just pull out. So let us know in the comments, was John's dad joke the joke of the day, or Sarah from Colorado?
Awesome. Well, today we have another hype episode. I'm excited to introduce this person. Today we have with us Miss Conitra Cowans. How you doing, Miss Conitra?
Hello, hello. I'm good. Thank you. How's everybody?
We're doing awesome. And to give you a little background on Conitra, Conitra is an entrepreneur, fashion designer, and author based in Dallas, Texas. She is most recognized as the founder and CEO of Bougie Steps Boutique, an online footwear brand focused on affordable, high fashion women's shoes. Now, you it's not just any kind of footwear. It was founded in 2021. Her boutique aims to provide women with bougie on a budget options, ranging from flat to high-end heels. Cohen's emphasizes using fashion to build confidence and self-worth in women, right? But not just that. She has partnered with Alive Shoes to launch custom handcrafted Italian leather shoe concepts, such as Bougie Signature and Bougie Soles. These are typically limited edition designs produced in Italy once a pre-order threshold is met. So, I mean, these are real legit like shoes. Like Bougie is like almost just softening what these shoes are. These are bigger than bougie. These are bougalicious, you know?
I love
So,
that.
she is also an author, as I said. She is the author of I Don't Know My Worth, a book where she shares her personal journey to offer guidance and solace to others navigating life's challenges. And she is a vocal advocate for domestic abuse prevention, supporting survivors and victims by sharing resources and her own experiences with self-love and empowerment. So this woman comes to us with just an awesome pedigree, a bougie pedigree, if I may say so myself. Um, but yeah, we are very happy to have her. Again, welcome, Miss Conitra.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. No, it's great to see you again. And we're excited to get into this one. You do have one heck of a resume. And when people hear your resume, I mean, we hear author, we hear founder, we hear advocate, that people see strength in that. But, let's back up and give people the bird's eye view. Who were you before everything that you went through, before survival became something that was necessary to build the foundation to where you're at now today?
I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, so I am a city girl slash country girl. I've been in Dallas for over 10 years. I grew up in Memphis. I always loved fashion. Always loved outgoing, kind of outgoing, just being the fun person of the group. Early on, early teenage years, I was sexually abused by a close family member. So that kind of started my emotional journey. That I didn't tell anyone, not even my parents. So that kind of held that within as a young adult teenager, and then as a young adult got into a relationship. It's a domestic violence relationship. So I got into that relationship because of what I went through as an early teenager, and thought that that was okay. Thought that it was normal. Raised by two great parents. My father passed 3 years ago, but my parents have been married for 50 plus years. So going into that relationship, I thought that that was how, going to a relationship, not getting out of it, getting married. Oh, this is what my parents have been married for 50 plus years. Oh, this is how it's supposed to be. Or, you know, coming up as the youth, I'm seeing that. So that is starting of my journey in Memphis. Um, so then later moved to Texas years later.
Very nice. Well, and so you live in Texas now still?
Yes, I'm in Dallas, Texas now.
Okay. When did you publish your book? The title is I Didn't Know My Worth, right?
The title was "This Is My Work." I didn't know this is my work.
I didn't know this is my worth. Okay. And that's a really powerful title. It's also kind of a hook grabber for more than one reason. I didn't know this is my worth because I think that that's a lot of people, regardless of the background of your story. So when was that published?
Yes, that was July of 2024.
So that's recent. And this is something that you endured from your early childhood. When did you realize that this wasn't normal, or when was this something in your mind where it's like this isn't right? All the way back from before your domestic violence situation to being abused as a child. What age was that?
It was 15. I was 15 years old. I knew it wasn't right. And I even tried to, as a teenager, I tried to not go into full detail, but try to give out hints to my parents. And the hints didn't work, so I just kept within. And for me, right now, I want to kind of advocate for the younger kids and the teenage preteens, and because they don't really know. Okay, I want to tell my parent, but then I don't want to tell my parent.
Right.
So
Especially
it
when
was
it's a close family member, right? Because
exactly
as a child, I think that you feel, and this is coming from somebody that also, I didn't suffer from sexual abuse as a child, but I struggled from abuse from close family members. It was just a different kind of abuse. And for a lot of children, that call for help looks like behavioral outlashes more often than not when children don't know how to say something's not right, but I don't know how to express it because you don't know what you
right.
don't know. It's one of those hindsight is 2020
Yeah,
situations. For you at 15, because you were older than I was when I felt like I was crying for help from the people that were supposed to be my primary caretakers. But I heard you say two interesting things there that I want to address for multiple reasons. One, so that parents and adults in a child's life know the signs to look for. And two, to appeal to the inner hurt child of our listener demographic that also feels like they related to this. For you, what did those cries for help look like?
that I was acting out more. I um Sexually, I acted out a lot more, and that's what the abuser was saying as well, to kinda not get me to tell. Kinda just said, "Oh, well, no one is gonna believe you. You're at the age now that, oh, you like boys and you're gonna navigate to that, so no one is gonna believe you." So in my mind, I'm like, "Okay, well, I just will keep doing this, uh, acting out and doing things that know I shouldn't have been doing. So I believe that was my cries for help. And just I had no one to actually talk to.
Mm, yeah, that's tough at that age, at that young age too. And you're still close with both of your. You said that your dad has recently passed. I'm sorry to hear that, but past those years, you had a good relationship with both of your parents.
Yes, I had a great relationship with my dad. We did after the episode after this happened later on down the line. I kind of gave my information to him and told him what was going on, and Um, it was a different take. He kinda was like, well, he didn't know and he apologized. So it was a bittersweet moment because at the time, I felt alone and, had anyone to talk to and just was withholding that information.
Do you think that knowing your worth is limited to survivors of sexual abuse?
I believe, and I don't think it's just only sexual abuse. I feel like knowing your worth could be taken from you from anywhere from any type, well, emotional, sexually, just any type of trauma that anyone has went through. I feel like that self-worth has been taken from you. And it took me so long to realize my self-worth because I went through that, and then after that, got into another relationship that was domestic, narcissistic, all of those things, and I didn't realize my self-worth till after I got out of that situation, which was a whole marriage.
Mhm. Mhm.
W- What do you think or would have changed if you would have been able to tell somebody?
Well, I think it would have changed dramatically for me. I because again, my parents, they were really, really great parents. It was just the family members that was around. Um, they they were my parents were very strict. My mom was strict. My dad was laid back. So my mom was more watch out for certain things, but didn't tell me about certain things. I don't know because I'm in the 70s, 80s year era. So them not telling you everything, kinda my mom used kinda like a scare tactic. "Oh, if you do this, then this will happen to you. If you do this, then this will happen to you." So it wasn't in detail of everything. So I feel like if I would have told someone and they would have listened, got counseling because I didn't get counseling till after my marriage, my divorce. So that's when my counseling started later on in life.
It's an interesting perspective because, I think that the reason that I come at this is from multiple perspectives. I didn't find out that my mom had been abused until after I had lost her to suicide. So I'm wondering, and I don't know if this is relevant to your story, but I'm looking at this from my psychology background. Did you share not just with your dad, but with your mom what had happened to you when you were 15?
No, well, not at the time after I first shared it with the very first person I shared it with was my ex. And for him being a narcissist, he turned it around on me, saying, "Oh, I wanted it, and that was what I wanted." And so at that point, then that's when I ventured out and told my parents about that. Um, and my mom and dad had the same reaction. But they remember me telling them that I didn't want to go around them. But I did in detail say, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to go, over there.
Yeah, and I think I may have heard you wrong. Who did you say the first person that you told was?
It was my ex,
Your
the
ex.
person.
Okay,
Mhm,
got it. And this was the ex that was also abusive to you, your domestic violence situation. Is that correct?
correct. Yes.
Okay. And was there a significant age gap between the family member that abused you and yourself?
Yes. I was 15 at the time and they're in their late 20s, early
Okay.
30s.
Yeah, sure. No, and that's common. To have an older family member be the one that is the abuser because they feel like they can emotionally manipulate the child. It's less of a threat.
Right.
So I mean, and I'm sure you know this through your years of counseling as well, but it's just unfortunately super from a
Yeah.
psychological perspective, what we expect to see is an age gap of some kind between the family member and the child that's being abused. When you told,
Right.
so you said that your ex was the first person that you told. How long had you been with your ex when you shared this like sensitive and intimate information with him? And how long after was it in terms of like, how long had you been with them, but how old were you when you shared that with them?
Um, we had been together maybe 3 years, maybe
Okay.
almost
And were you
4.
married at this time?
Mhm. We were married.
Okay. And how old were you when you got married?
I was 28.
Okay. So it had been another almost 15 years since this had happened.
Mhm. Yes.
How long did you suffer from being abused by this family member? Was it just at the age of 15 or was the abuse ongoing with this family member?
It was ongoing. It was ongoing till after I really started dating, and then that's when I kind of started just slacking away, and because the family member was, like, coming over often. So this is the where I got later on in high school. I started dating, and then I could actually like get away from the house
Mhm.
in my own vehicle and just drive off
Yeah.
to a friend's house or
Make
just
yourself not physically available based on the
exactly.
presence of this individual.
Yes.
Ah, man, that's so tough. So when you shared with your mom, um, did you share with both of your parents at the same time, or was it individually that you told them what you had been through?
It was individual.
What did your mom say?
She was she was really sad and upset that I did not come to her and
Mm,
tell her. And I just I told my dad. I kind of told him what I did not want to do, and he just was like, "Oh, okay, it's okay." Probably just thinking that, oh, she's just a teenager. She doesn't want to go. Just doesn't want to be at that place. Um, So, yeah, and that's she was upset and then wondering why I didn't come to her and tell her.
well, so you said that you told your ex first when you were 28, right? Did I
Mhm,
Okay,
uh-huh,
so how old were you when you shared with your parents? Was it the same year just after your ex?
mhm. It
Around that
was, around that same time.
Okay. So when you say that she was just a teenager, she didn't wanna be around them, did I hear you correctly? That's was your dad's response?
No, that's what I'm in my mind. I'm just saying, "Oh, well," he's probably saying, "Oh, well, there's no teenagers. I'd rather be at home than be at someone else's home and just being a teenager." So and me acting out. So he probably was just like, "Oh, she doesn't want to be around others," but I was actually crying out for help, saying, "I don't want to be over here. It's the reason, I'm not comfortable."
Was either of your parents' responses to you sharing what you went through, was that response from either of them or both of them healing for you in any capacity?
No, not actually. So I went to counseling. Actually, when I went to counseling and I actually talked it out, and because I'm still thinking, okay, well, I hadn't gotten it out. I was still dealing with it. Still when I go, even though I'm in Dallas, I was going back home to visit and that person was still around. So I still kind of like kept my distance.
I want to get into, this knowing your worth. And the reason why I asked you if this only had to do with sexual abuse is because I think this kind of has to do with like sex in general. And I think sometimes um we I want to be careful how I say this next statement because I don't want to be taken control misconstrued or to relate it to something that it's not. And that is that we invite a lot of trauma onto ourselves sexually. And I'm not saying that like the abuse, I'm not trying to relate it to this abuse that you went through, but when we're not knowing our worth, when we're just offering our bodies to anybody, we're not knowing it, but we're actually creating sexual trauma, I believe. And um I think you can see it prevalent because of the abuse you were taking, but I think there's a whole set of things going on that people psychologically don't even know is going on. And they're being they're using because sex in today's culture I feel is like used as a weapon. And it was used as a weapon with your abuse, and it's used as a weapon today on peer pressure. It's on getting what you want, on feeling like you're like everybody else. And and we're creating our own. That's why to me this whole knowing your worth is a bigger thing than just the sexual trauma. I think the sexual trauma is very, like, what the sexual abuse is very important, and that's separate. as a deeper level than what's going on, but I think there is like a smaller level that we're doing to ourselves, and this culture has created that pressures people into having multiple partners. I mean, porn has done is, I think, sexual trauma. If I can go back to the day that somebody first introduced me to porn and I could not see porn from the very first, my life would be much better. Like, because porn is its own sexual trauma. Um, you see, like, multiple partners at the same time is happening, and it's becoming more prevalent because it's all right. People, girls are even as a rideshare driver, I can hear some conversations going on. Like, I've had conversations that I never thought, I've overheard stuff that I never thought I would hear, and like like one girl getting done with one guy, calling up and faking it, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm coming home to you now." All this kind of stuff is creating trauma, and we don't even realize we're creating trauma in ourselves. Um, and it's not to diminish what you went through, but I think that I want to get into this knowing your worth and what that's about and how that. Can you tell us a little bit about um, what knowing your worth means?
For me, knowing my worth is just getting back to the person I was before the abuse. Um, the adult that I was before the domestic abuse and the narcissistic abuse. Um, Before I went into that abuse, I was a young adult, 20, 22, 23. Um, and just being, I did have a daughter. I have an older daughter. So I had a young daughter at that time. But just going into that relationship and being who I was. Because when I got into the relationship and the marriage, I didn't even recognize myself. I didn't even see myself as the same person that's going into that relationship as the young person doing going on vacations, going on trips, going hanging out with friends that had got to the point to I didn't even hang out with my friends anymore, girlfriends. Um, and just trying to be there for that person and everyone else, I forgot about me. So self-worth, I feel like is you start back getting back to yourself, your normal, um, loving on yourself. Um, I loved on everyone else, but yes, my kids, but I was putting the other person before me. Which I mean, it's a marriage, but I felt like I was losing myself in the
So,
marriage.
so let me ask you this question: for somebody who is going through a lot, doesn't know their worth, what does for them? Maybe they're like, I don't know what knowing my worth means. Like, what do you say to that person? Like, what is knowing your worth? Like, for somebody who can't comprehend or maybe is lost or is feeling, you know, like they don't even know where to start. What is knowing your worth even about?
Oh, knowing your worth, um, just remembering who you are. Um, for me, I started writing a journal, and every day just putting in the journal how I felt. Oh, today I feel blah. Uh, the next day, oh, I feel okay. Just writing down in that journal helps, and going back to look at it, reading back over it, and just, oh, well, this is how I felt this day. And because for me, I was losing myself. I was doing things for the kids, which that is a mother and a wife, but I felt myself doing more things trying to make the other person happy and not thinking about me because I was going to work looking normal, even though in the inside I'm like, oh, I'm dying here. But nobody knew. Nobody knew what I was actually going through. So for anybody that's actually doing that, talk to someone, get counselors, get you a mentor. A mentor helped me out so much that I didn't even think that that would help me. But having a mentor, a wellness coach, it helped me so much, and that's how I became an author, talking to that mentor and that life coach.
Yeah, that's so important too. And I think that the goal of like exposing trauma and breaking the silence and talking about our self worth is to break the shame and the stigmatisms that come with any trauma that can lead to questioning your self worth. I think that it's exposing these internal narratives that happen in our mind that can lead to us not knowing our self worth. And it's to validate all of the listeners that are kind of silently nodding along, like, yeah, I relate to
Yeah.
that. I don't know how to break out of that cycle. So if we go to the start of anything, it's identifying the problem first, right? It's like, okay, so it's not just that I don't know my self-worth. It's first, what do you believe your self-worth is tied to now? Because it's tied to something. It might not be correct, but identifying first, what am I currently associating my own self-worth with that is disrupting or creating this pattern of tolerance and excuses or minimizing my self-worth. So for you, before you knew what your self-worth actually was, what was it previously tied to?
Oh, it was tied to, again, I was a young mother. I had my first child at 18. So it was tied to motherhood, trying to distinguish, separate my childhood, teenage from my adult, and just trying to, because 18, we grew up together. So, she taught me things, I'm teaching her things. So, yeah, it was motherhood, and then again, I went into the abuse again. So it was emotional. This abuse was different from the sexual abuse because it was emotional, physical, and then the narcissistic, which I knew nothing about until after I got out of that divorce. That's when I found out what narcissistic abuse was.
Do you feel like silence is sometimes mistaken for strength?
I do. I really do. I was silent for a long time. No one knew what I was going through, but close friends knew. Um, Close friends knew because they were in our relationship almost. But on the outside, we looked like the perfect family. So yeah, strength. I feel like silence is sometimes a form of it, but I feel like knowing your worth and getting that out, you are doing the greatest thing because it brings all these emotions. It brings out depression. It brings out so many things. And I was feeling all of those emotions in that relationship in those stages.
So I'm going to ask you a two-sided question here because I think that a lot of people in your situation are silent until it's either too late or until it feels too difficult and too enmeshed. That's called enmeshment trauma, when we have one thing that compiles on the other that compiles on the other, and now it's too complicated to know how to start to unwind. So I'm just going to not talk about it because now it's too much, right?
All
So,
right.
what is one thing that you feel like silence may have protected you from, and what did it cost you?
One thing I feel like, because towards the end of it, I just start shutting down. Um, so I was shutting down and not even talking to the other partner. Just letting them say whatever. Just, oh, the kids are doing this. Okay. So that's how I know it was my time because I just start shutting things down and not even caring anymore. Um, and that's what got me out of that. Um, a best friend came to me and she was pulled into it, not even trying to get pulled into it. But that was my sign to say, okay, you know what? I can't go another 5 years like this because I don't know where I'm gonna be headed because my head is not on straight.
I appreciate that self reflection. I think it's important.
And how did self-worth lead you or change your life or how is it different now having self-worth?
Oh, wow. Now when I look back, it I because I do reflect on so many things that happened in the past. Um, Now it's my self-worth is for my kids and my grandchild. I have 2 beautiful daughters, and I try to one 28 and the other one is 20, almost 21. So I try to tell them all the time about their self-worth and who they are dating or just in a it doesn't even matter with dating. Friendships, you have to sometimes have that type of in between, you have to have a boundary. So self-worth, I just try to teach that to them. Self-worth, is the most important thing that you could because you can lose yourself in a matter of time and don't even realize, look at yourself and not even see the same person that you've been for years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious too, because I mean, do you think that the abuse that you endured as a child contributed to ending up in a relationship that was unhealthy as well?
I believe so, very much so. Yes, I feel like um, when I seen the signs, I did I put it on the back burner. I was like, "Oh, those are I can work with that. That's nothing." Until they came, I saw the jealousy and the controlling and I still kinda put it on the back burner and said, "Oh, I can work with that." Or so many times that we say, "Oh, it'll be okay. We can work our way through it." And it gets worse and gets worse and it's just another sign of abuse.
What do you think may have changed, if anything, if you had told someone before you entered into the marriage that ended you in that domestic violence situation?
For me, I feel like if I would have told someone, I would have been able to get counseling. I would have been able to get counseling throughout my teenage years. And when that came along, I would have known, oh, this is not, even though I knew it wasn't right when I got involved with that person, I knew that was the signs wasn't, and even my parents um, kind of input, but I didn't listen. So even them telling me I need to get out of that situation, it was up to me. Uh, I had to be the one to make that call and to say, okay, I'm done with this. But through counseling, I think I would have not gone through that relationship.
Just out of curiosity, have you taken legal action against any of your abusers?
I have not. With my divorce, I am, which is my second book is going to be going through the attorney general because we did have a child together, and the from him he got custody of her. She came back with me. So then the attorney general, um, I'm end up having to pay arrears. So it was just him being in control. He wants to control it, um, and her finding out later how he really was. And so she did decided that she did not want to be with him anymore. So that is what I'm working on now. That I'm fighting now.
Well, I'm even talking about your sexual abuse as a kid. Where does taking legal action play in self-worth? Does it play in self-worth? Is there a correlation? Is there something that equals in those two things?
Yes, I feel like if you can take legal action and just to get back that piece that you've been missing for me, I'm 47 and that happened when I was 15. So that to get back that little piece of you. But unfortunately for me, the person passed. So I wouldn't be able to act on it.
I appreciate that perspective, though. I think that women have a fear of reporting abuse sometimes, especially for different reasons. And then I know that there's an argument to the other side of that coin too, where men, it's like it was either will argue that it was consensual or whatever have you, and depending on the duration of time that has passed, it sometimes makes that line feel gray. I know in my instance there were two different people that sexually assaulted me, and one of them while I was in college, and I never reported it. For me it was, I felt responsible for to a degree for my perception was that I had put myself into that situation. And the other component was that he had a wife and a child. And there was a part of me psychologically at the time that wouldn't allow me to break their family up for something that I already felt somewhat responsible for. I was like, did I cause him to do this by putting myself in this situation? Was my
Right.
thought track and talk track at the time. Was it constructive? No. Is he a safe individual? No. Does it take away from the legitimacy of what I went through? Also, no. But I think that women have a really hard time with, like, what do I report and what do I not report? The second
Right.
instance was reported, but not by me. It was actually reported by the state, where he was such a dangerous individual that the state filed a restraining order and he ended up in jail for a really long time. Um, for the young women out there that may be listening, or the women that have gone through this that don't know where to go or what to do, be it that they went through abuse years ago or that they're going through it now, what is your advice to them?
I would say take action. Just go ahead and do that. For one instance, I had with my ex, we were doing a meeting drop off, and he actually spit in my face. So I went to the police precinct, and actually, they kind of tried to talk me out of it. So at that instance, with some individual just saying, "Well, do you really think you want to do that?" And you have a child, or you have so even if it comes to that, stand your ground and just say, "Yes, I want to do that," because it's gonna keep being persistent. It's gonna keep happening because they feel like they can do that.
Hmm.
So yes, by all means, yes, take that action and do that if you can.
Yeah, and so before we start to wrap up this episode, because it's getting pretty quickly, tell us how, like, knowing your worth has helped you build a business, and do you think you could have done that without knowing your worth? And share a little bit about the business you do.
Okay. Um, for me, my self worth, yes, it getting out of that relationship, it just made me stronger. Getting the counseling made me stronger. Because at once I was told I would never be a business owner. Um, I never had that support, and that's from the relationship. And I feel like that was the controlling part. Didn't want to see me go up the ladder or do anything. So for me, to have those words reversed and to say, yes, I am a business owner. Yes, I can do it. It was like, it's still overwhelming for me because I never thought I would be an actual business owner. I never thought I would be on podcasts. I was within me so shy and not wanting to talk about it, not, oh, well, what are people going to think? Oh, she's been abused or looked at differently. But it has changed my world dramatically. And uh, for me, just a woman's worth, a man's worth, it is knowing yourself, loving yourself, being confident in yourself, pushing yourself to that limit that, oh, you can do it. So yes, I have this beautiful boutique, which is Bougie Steps Boutique, a women's online footwear. I am an author, which I have another book coming out, a visionary that is coming out next month. And it's called I Know My Worth. So it's going to be other co-authors that are telling their story about overcoming and finding their worth as well. Um, and online, you can go on Bougie Steps Boutique online. Also, I am venturing into motivational speaking. So I am so excited about that. That is coming soon. So yes, I am so proud of myself. I'm proud of me for overcoming and just being able to get out there and share my story.
If you could go back to any point in your life and you could say something to your younger self, uh, what would you say and what time would you go back to?
Oh, it would probably be at my 15-year-old age, to tell myself that you are worthy, you are able to be loved. You are loved.
Mm.
Don't let anyone take that from you. Don't let anyone discourage you. Just keep pushing and you will make it.
Key takeaways.
I know we really didn't touch about it, but I want to kind of give you my perspective on self-worth. And um self-worth for me comes from God, from my faith, you know? And I feel it's important in an episode like this for me to share this because for me, God sees us as a precious child. God sees you as a beautiful individual, worthy. Um, he sees you completed. If you are a child of His, He sees you in that awesome state, and that's the one thing I think that I love about Christianity. For me personally, is that on the cross when Jesus said, "It is finished," like all my sin has been taken away. Even though I am not at that point in my life, God sees me as completed. God sees me as holy and awesome. And I think sometimes we don't see ourselves that way. We're too hard on ourselves. We live in our sinful. We see ourselves in our sinful nature. We see ourselves in our broken nature, where God sees us as in our eternal state, which is holy and pure. And if you're a child of God, your worth is set in stone. Your worth is written. It is completed. And so even if you don't feel worthy in the second, know that you are worthy. And if you don't have that worth, dude, I I encourage you to come to Jesus and give your life to Him, because He is the ultimate worth. You know, He is the ultimate self-worth. And so that's point one. And point two, and I kind of referred to this, is like again, I want to get into it. Like, we think sometimes that God is trying to keep us from having fun. God is trying to keep us, down. When God says, like, that sex is designed for marriage and marriage alone, it's to keep all that sexual traumas away from us. It's to keep you trauma free. It's not to prevent you from enjoying sex. It's not to keep you from enjoying life. It's to protect you from unnecessary trauma. Trauma that is either forced upon us or trauma that we put on our own selves through watching porn and, having multiple partners. And what happens when you do all those things? You worry about pregnancies, unwanted pregnancies. You worry about STDs. You worry about, am I good enough? You start putting your worth into somebody else because did I appease them sexually? And that's why I asked those questions that I did, because when when we're doing the things that God has asked us to do, is not to take the joy out of our life, is for us to live free, without worry, without all these you know things. Am I good enough? Am I do that? That's what God's law is designed to do, is to live life and to live it abundantly. That's what He wants from us. And like I said, my worth is found in God, and it allows me um, to have peace as I go through life. But they're my key takeaways from our conversation. I kind of wanted to go in a little different one today, but that's my point of view.
I like where you went with that, and I'll feed off of it too. I think that I also have two key takeaways, and without repeating what John said, because I agree with everything that he said, and I hope that people really let that sink in. But worth isn't something that you earn by surviving something. It's something that you remember by healing. And to add to what John said, we don't heal from ourselves because we're human. So that ties back into that Jesus is the ultimate healer. And a lot of things that people have been through is stuff that you aren't meant to walk alone. So it just kind of ties into what John said. So listeners, put those two pieces, 2 and 2 together, and think on that. My second one is that for the people that are listening, maybe you're in a domestic violence situation, maybe a marriage, would be that strength. Maybe it's just a relationship. Maybe it's a boyfriend that you live with or a girlfriend that you live with. Strength isn't always staying. It's choosing yourself and the worth that you have, ideally the worth that you have found through Christ, over that relationship, even when leaving feels impossible. And I've been in that situation before, and so those are my two key takeaways for sure. And Conitra, I want to ask you too, if somebody's listening to this episode in silence or afraid or doubting themselves, what's the truth that they need to hear today?
To always choose you. To always choose you. And again, I agree with you both about um prayer and God because that got me through where I was out of it. I prayed for that. I prayed for an answer, and that answer was sent to me. So through prayer and faith, choose you uh, and love you, and from there, I feel like you'll be better. Like we don't always choose the relationship. For me, I chose to not not hear the inner, to not have that, to hear that inner piece of me, that inner voice, like, oh, this is not, you shouldn't do this. This is not right. But I feel like that's always God speaking to you. So I chose to not listen and go with that relationship. But then through the relationship, I found prayer and I found that loving myself is what I need to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome, love it. Um, yeah, this is where we ask our audience to comment below and tell us your takeaway, tell us your opinions. You can agree with us, you can disagree with us. That's fine. That's what we love about this podcast. It's we want to hear your perspective. We want to hear your viewpoint on this. So share below.
The final 5.
Who is your hero and why?
I probably have, well, I have at least three. My dad, he was a great person. He was my hero and still is. I'm a baby girl, so I'm a daddy's girl. The daddy's girl I always will be. And he just kind of taught me how to um, wrongs from right. Even when I was in the relationship, he still gave his advice and told me things not to do and what to do. Um, but he was always there, even through me choosing that. He was always there. So that he will and always be my hero. And then my two daughters and my grandbaby, which I love her to death. Um, they are my heroes, and I push for everything. Everything I'm doing now, I'm pushing because I want them to know, hey, it's okay to start over. It's okay to not be okay. You know, I've started over so many times, and starting over doesn't mean you're failed. You are failed. So those are my
I love that. That's awesome. Second question for you is going to be, what does knowing your worth look like in application on the hard days?
me have and I still have many hard days. Just pushing myself that to that limit. Because some days I feel like, oh, I can't do it. I'm not able to do it. But pushing yourself, just knowing that I can do it, um, and actually being told no that I wasn't able to do it, kind of made me want to be push more harder.
And the third question is, what is either one book, one song, one quote, one verse, one saying, one book that you either live by or you've held on to or has, gotten you through the tough times?
For me, I have a journal that my mentor published, and it's called God's Journal. And I write in there, and again, I feel like journaling is it gets your emotions out. Um, for me, when I wrote the book, I had so many emotions coming out, so I had to stop and start again. But for the journal, I just every day I write in there every morning. So that for me, her journal is a great one to just have.
That's awesome. That's good to know. What did you say it was called?
God's journey.
Okay. That's awesome. I'm going to have to look into that one. Next question for you is going to be, what would you tell a woman who thinks that leaving means failing?
I would say it is not failing. If you feel yourself in the relationship and you are not yourself, you're not who you were when you entered that relationship, I would say start speaking to someone, counseling your friends, church member, community pastor. Um, just start speaking to someone and just letting them know what you're going through. Um, like we talked before so many times, being silent. People don't know. People don't know you could be sitting next to a person that is really going through it, and you will never know. No one ever knew. I was going to work every day just like normal. Nobody knew at my job that I was actually going through what I was going through at home. So speaking to someone, just letting them know, and not going to full detail, but just letting them know, hey, I got some stuff I got going on. If you don't mind talking to me and just talking it out. Um, it's not a failure to me. It's and when you have, I know for me, we had kids involved, but I still wanted to leave because sometimes you're still in that relationship and it's miserable, and you have the kids.
Right. Yeah, that makes it hard for sure.
And the final question is, who is one person, living or dead, who you would love to sit down and have a cup of coffee with?
That would be my dad, and his anniversary is coming up on the 6th of February. So that would be the person that I feel that he's still with me in spirit. Um, but that would be the person that would love to sit down and have coffee with again.
Awesome. And Kanitra, for people who want to read your book, follow your journey, check out your awesome shoe boutique, where can they find you? How can they follow you? How can they keep up with all of the many things that you're doing?
I am on Facebook, Bougie Steps, BOUJEEZ Steps Boutique. I am also on Instagram, Bougie's underscore steps. And then also I have a website. It's Bougie Steps Boutique, and you can just Google and then you'll get to go online. Also purchase my book on there. My book is on Amazon as well, but it's also on my website where you can go on and just purchase from the website.
And we will make sure to link those below so that it's easy to find. So if you want to check out her awesome online shop or her books, you just link the comments below, click below, and you'll be able to find access to all that Conitra is doing.
Yes, and thank you, Conitra, for being our guest today. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you for sharing your story. It definitely is a powerful story, and I'm glad that you have found your worth and know your worth now. So we look forward to seeing where you go in the future. Remember, when we take the time to hear someone's story, it gives us the opportunity to find common ground. Thank you again, Conitra, for being our guest today. For Sydney and I, it has been our pleasure to be your host, and you have been listening to the Common Ground Podcast. God bless and good night.
And that's it for today's episode of the Common Ground Podcast. We hope you're leaving with a little more perspective, a little more purpose, and a whole lot more inspiration.
So thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. Thank you to our special guest.
If today's conversation moved you, encouraged you, or challenged you in any way, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, rate it, leave us a review. Your support helps us reach more people who need to find their own common ground.
So for John Fletcher and Sydney Curtin,
we'll see you right here next week, same time, same place on the Common Ground Podcast.